Welcome to the explainer. Look, we've all been there, right? You're trying to buy a new console, staring at that spinning wheel of death on a checkout page, losing a battle to a bot. It is the worst. Well, it looks like Nintendo might actually have a plan to end all that launch day chaos for the Switch 2. And it all starts with one, frankly, enormous number. This is the big question, isn't it? It hangs over every single new piece of hardware. Are we all just signing up for another digital lottery, hoping our number gets called? Or has Nintendo finally figured out a way to break this awful cycle? Well, it seems they have a plan, and it revolves around this: 25 million. And let's be clear, this isn't just some big flashy number for a headline. No, this is Nintendo's strategic weapon against the shortages and the scalpers that we've all come to dread. So yeah, this isn't just a number to impress investors. It is the absolute core of Nintendo's strategy to fundamentally change the launch day experience for you, for me, for everyone. So let's break down what it really means. Okay, first things first. We gotta be really clear about what this number is and what it isn't. This is not a sales forecast. It's not a promise that 25 million people are gonna buy one. It's something way more fundamental in the background, deep in the supply chain. In the industry, they call this a sell-in number. So think of it this way. It's not about how many consoles we buy from Target. It's about how many consoles Nintendo is telling its factories to build and ship to Target. It's the absolute production ceiling, the maximum number that could possibly exist in the world by the end of March 2026. To put it as simply as possible, the plan is to just flood the market. They're telling all their partners, hey, get ready for a massive number of units because they want to meet this huge demand head on instead of letting it spiral out of control. So just how big of a deal is 25 million, really? I mean, it sounds big, but when you actually put it into historical context, oh man, it's not just big, it's potentially record-shattering. Just take a look at this. Remember how impossible it was to find a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X? They shipped around 15 and 12 million units in their first year, respectively. Nintendo is aiming to produce almost double the PS5 numbers. It puts the Switch 2 in a completely different league from day one. So the big takeaway here is pretty simple. Yes, demand is going to be absolutely insane. We all know that. But for the first time in a long time, Nintendo is planning for a supply that can actually match it. The whole goal is to make sure that getting a console is about wanting one, not just winning a game of pure chance. Okay, so that's the high-level strategy. But how does this massive number actually translate into getting a console into your shopping cart and checking out? It's a journey, right? The factories build the units, they get shipped out to big hubs all over the world, then they're sent out to retailers. But that last step, rolling restocks, that is the secret sauce. This isn't about one single chaotic drop. It's about a steady, continuous flow of new stock hitting stores week after week. So what this means is that we should expect multiple waves of stock. You'll have the big launch day push for sure, but then you'll have another huge replenishment right before the holidays. And then more restocks are just going to keep coming well into 2026. This is fantastic news if you're worried about missing out right at the start. So what's your personal game plan? Well, here's a little checklist. First, pre-orders are great, but don't panic if you miss them. They're not your only shot. Second, be ready for bundles. A lot of these will probably come packaged with the game. Third, and this is the big one, frequent restocks are a scalper's worst nightmare. If you see crazy prices, just wait. Seriously, another wave is coming. And finally, this is a global plan, so restocks should hit North America, Europe, and Asia all around the same time. Okay, but having 25 million consoles sitting on shelves is kind of pointless if there's nothing to play on them, right? So what can we expect on the software side of things? Well, we don't have a list of games yet, but Nintendo's history gives us a really clear roadmap. Nintendo basically has a playbook for this. At launch, you'll probably see cross-gen anchors, big, familiar games that play on both the old Switch and the new one. Then, maybe 6 months to a year and a half in, that's when you get the only-on titles, the real hardware showcases. And all along the way, you'll see a steady stream of big third-party games getting ported over. So where should you be looking for all these game announcements? Well, stick to the official channels. Nintendo Directs are your go-to for the huge first-party blockbusters. Big events like the Game Awards are where you'll see third-party support. And if you want the really early hints, keep an eye on official ratings boards and even retailer website listings. So we've covered the hardware supply, we've covered the likely game plan, but what does a production target this huge tell us about Nintendo's bigger strategy? What can we kind of read between the lines here? Well, a plan this big suggests a complete ecosystem ready to go at launch. It leaves room for multiple versions, different colors, different storage sizes, game bundles. It also means we should see tons of accessories like controllers and docks on shelves from day one. And you can absolutely bet that Nintendo will be pushing its online service hard with promotions for all those millions of new owners. Now, this part is really important. We have to separate what we can logically figure out from this plan versus what we just shouldn't assume yet. So we can infer that high supply and rolling restocks are the goal, which is great news against scalpers. But what we can't assume is the final price or specific game titles or even the exact launch date. All that stuff is still TBD, waiting for an official announcement. And that's really the bottom line here. It seems like Nintendo is doing everything in its power to solve the logistical nightmare of a console launch so that we can all focus on the part that actually matters, the games. With the supply chain hopefully taken care of, the big question is no longer, can I even get one? The question becomes, what's that one killer game that I'm going to be playing on it? Thanks for watching.